In the heart of the rural hills of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, Zama had transformed her family's old animal barn into a hidden laboratory. Cows mooed lazily outside, chickens clucked in the distance, but inside the barn, glowing monitors, buzzing coils, and suspended crystals painted a different reality. Zama, her eyes locked on the star map projection hovering above her desk, had found something breathtaking. A planet orbiting a binary star system nearly 1 light-year away, a rogue world she nicknamed Orenda. She worked day and night, scribbling equations with chalk on black-painted barn walls. Her goal? A quantum entanglement portal, a doorway that could push an object or person 1 light-year in an instant. But the laws of physics were not so easily tamed. Every use of the portal caused it to burn out and required a 1-hour recharge. Still, it worked. Her guinea pig, stuffed and robotic, had returned with a ribbon of space dust from Orenda's orbit. Zama gasped when she saw the particle residue, the same mysterious fingerprint from the science camp. The particle was real and intelligent. Carlos in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in a narrow high-rise apartment, Carlos had cleared his room of posters and video games. Now, the scent of solder and ozone filled the air. Tables were stacked with prototype engines, glowing tubes, and rotating magnets. Carlos was building a fusion drive, a propulsion system so efficient it could power a spacecraft for centuries on just grams of fuel. The challenge? Stabilizing the magnetic fields while sustaining the plasma. But Carlos had a breakthrough. He developed a containment ring that pulsed rhythmically with Earth's magnetic heartbeat. Carlos couldn't stop thinking of Zama's last message. What if we could go to another planet and go farther than 1 light-year? She was right. 1 light-year wasn't enough. The nearest star, Proxima Centauri, was 4 light-years away. At 1 trip per hour, it would still take 4 hours just to arrive. They needed more than a quantum leap. They needed graviton control. Priya in Bangalore, India, on the bustling rooftops of Bangalore, Priya had created a garden of satellites. Homemade detectors she built from old microwave dishes, laser lenses, and copper coils. Her masterpiece was the Spectral Interference Graviton Detection System, or SIGDS for short. It could identify anomalies in gravitational waves and decode faint graviton echoes, the whispers of the universe. One night, the SIGDS buzzed wildly. She rushed to her monitor. "Zama, are you seeing this too?" They exchanged encrypted notes. A faint gravitational ripple had passed through Earth, but it wasn't natural. Something, or someone, had bent gravity like a wave. Could it be the particle trying to communicate? Priya calibrated her system again. She didn't want to miss the next whisper. Akio in Sapporo, Japan. In a quiet corner of snowy Sapporo, Akio worked in his family's old dojo, now converted into a technology temple. Bamboo and circuitry coexisted in harmony. Akio's specialty was motion and precision. He created the neutrino navigation grid, a system that could track any quantum object across vast distances by following neutrino pulses. It didn't just show where something was, it showed where it would be. Navigation must be flawless, Akio whispered to himself. If we miscalculate, we teleport into solid rock, or space. He synchronized his system with Zama's portal coordinates. Everything pointed back to her barn in Limpopo, the first call. One evening, they gathered on a secret video call, their faces glowing with excitement and worry. "We need to meet," Zama said, her face lit by the pale light of her barn's star map. "But school is still in. My parents won't let me travel." "Same here," Carlos sighed. "We're not on break for another month." Akio nodded. "Even if we get permission, customs will stop us for carrying antimatter coils. But what if we don't travel by plane?" Zama smiled, eyes sparkling. "What if we modify the quantum entanglement portal?" "You mean?" Priya's eyes widened. "Teleport to each other?" "Yes," Zama exclaimed. "We can meet here at my home. It's remote. No one will find us. And we can always be back before our parents notice." Building the portal network. They shared designs, equations, and blueprints via encrypted messages. But building a network of portals wasn't easy. Most of the components weren't available commercially. They had to invent, repurpose, or build from scratch. The biggest challenge? An exotic element, unknown to the periodic table. Zama called it Element 777, a man-made particle with strange behavior. It could cause matter to disappear and reappear across space, with the destination governed by a manipulated gravity field. The element didn't exist in nature, but Carlos discovered it could be created during a fusion reaction, if done carefully. If not, the instability could cause the matter to scatter into quantum fog, the gravity revelation. During one of their late-night sessions, Priya had a stunning realization. If we can control gravity, we can control where the matter rematerializes. Akio's navigation system synced instantly with her theory. Yes, and that means we're not limited to just one light year. They all went silent. Zama stood and pointed to her wall. A map of the Milky Way galaxy shimmered there. We can go anywhere, to Proxima Centauri, to the center of the galaxy, even to Andromeda. The mysterious particle is linked to gravity, Priya added. It's not just a message, it's an invitation. The pact. Carlos grinned. Zama, if we can travel to your home every weekend, even just for an hour, we could build everything we need. Within a month, we'd be ready to explore. Zama nodded. You'll always return before your parents know. They raised their virtual hands. 4 young explorers. One mission. To finish building the portal network, stabilize element 777, and unlock the map of the cosmos. The hunt had just begun, and the stars were waiting. A week later, in the evenings, as the sun dipped below the distant horizon in their corners of the world, 4 glowing screens came to life. Across time zones and continents, Zama, Priya, Carlos, and Akio would meet virtually, each from their own secret labs, huddled in makeshift spaces thick with cables, coffee cups, and crumpled equations. It was their nightly ritual now, this sacred hour of invention. The room always began with static and flickers, but when their faces appeared, Zama with chalk on her cheek, Carlos still gripping a wrench, Priya's hair dotted with glittering dust from solaring, and Akio wrapped in his quiet focus, everything felt real. The first week, they discussed the blueprint of the impossible. Let's go over the parts again, Zama said one evening, voice crackling faintly over the feed. Behind her, Orenda's holographic orbit spun gently. Carlos tapped his stylus against his screen. We need 4 synchronizers, at least 3 energy coils, a graviton modulator, and of course, the core chamber for element 777. But we also need to adjust for personal mass, Priya added, flipping through her digital sketches. If the graviton field isn't tuned per person, we could end up, well, scrambled. Like digital soup, Akio said softly. The group laughed. Akio continued, I've adjusted the neutrino grid to calculate your biological signatures. It will update in real time with your heart rate and weight. Zama leaned closer to the camera. Perfect. That'll help stabilize entry and exit points. And the barn is ready, she added, smiling. I've reinforced the walls with layered graphene sheeting. The old hayloft is now the receiver bay. The second week, they discussed building the unbuildable. Every night, the group shared footage. Carlos testing plasma rings with trembling hands, sparks leaping from his fingertips as the containment field spun like a sun in a jar. Priya calibrated lenses with the precision of a clockmaker. She surrounded her satellite dishes with plants to dampen outside frequencies. Her computer now flickered with an ever-changing stream of gravitational wave data. Akio's dojo, serene as ever, echoed with the hum of neutrino sensors. He had placed tiny receivers beneath the tatami mats. On one wall, the blueprints of a galactic compass glowed faintly, following movements too small for the eye to catch. Meanwhile, Zama was knee-deep in conduit wires. The barn pulsed with new life. She had suspended the portal ring above the ground with magnetized levitation clamps. Hanging mid-air like a crown, it shimmered faintly, waiting. The third week, they discussed the element of risk. We're almost ready, Zama said one night. But without element 777, the portal's just a tunnel. It won't bend space. Carlos had dark circles beneath his eyes. I've run simulations on the fusion chamber. If we spike the plasma at exactly 13.7 Tesla and feed in the neutron pulse, we can synthesize 777 for just 5 milliseconds. Only 5 milliseconds? Priya blinked. 5 milliseconds is enough, Akio confirmed. I've pre-programmed the sequence. We engage the element, stabilize the gravity field, and lock coordinates to the barn. Zama added, but it has to be exact. If the portal collapses mid-jump, the screen went quiet. Then we'll fail, Zama finished. And worse, it could destabilize our labs. Carlos smiled faintly. So we don't fail. The night before launch, Zama looked up at the holographic ceiling, a map of constellations slowly drifting above her. Tomorrow night, she whispered. Tomorrow we open the portals. Akio adjusted his camera. We sync at exactly 20 at GMT. Double-check your stabilizers, Priya reminded them, and keep emergency power rerouted through non-gravity fuses. Are you scared? Carlos asked, half laughing. Terrified, Priya admitted. Excited, Zama said, eyes bright, like the first day of camp. Like the beginning of everything, Akio said. They raised their hands to the screens. 4 portals, 1 place, Zama's barn, they said together. Arrival, the barn awakens. In the dead of night, the quiet barn in KwaZulu-Natal lit up like a lighthouse. One by one, the portals began to pulse. A low hum filled the air. Crystals shimmered, coils glowed. The air cracked, folded, and then pop. A burst of blue light, and Akio appeared first, kneeling, breathless, eyes wide behind his glasses. Then Carlos stumbled in, dragging a crate of fusion rings and laughing. Next came Priya, floating for a split second before landing on her feet, hair standing with static. They looked at each other, stunned. Then they heard a soft, warm voice. Welcome, Zama said from the stairs. You made it. The friends hugged, laughed, cried. They had done the impossible. Above them, the star map glowed brighter than ever, centered now not just on Orenda, but on infinite destinations. Outside, the animals stirred softly in the dark. Inside, history had just begun, to be continued.